In this tutorial, you will learn how to review vendors and customers and how to modify vendor and customer settings. Let's select our company to review its vendors and customers. In this video, we will focus on the settings you find under Company Contacts. Let's click this option. Two tabs appear on this screen for vendors and customers. Under vendors, a full list of vendors from your accounting software displays with information about each vendor. If your company is not integrated with an accounting software, you may also add vendors manually. Invoices in the inbox or archived appear here. These numbers are links, which allow you to drill down and display the archive or inbox for a specific vendor. Default settings that have been set up for each vendor appear here, such as the currency, default category, tax code, and whether we capture line items or auto-publish invoices for each vendor. Please note that the tax code column appears because this is a Canadian company. In a US company, we would find the same columns except for the tax code. Let's open a vendor to display its settings. The General Settings page displays. For each vendor, we could turn on line item capture. A default currency can be selected. If the currency is not noted on an invoice from this vendor, the default currency will automatically be used. You may set up a default due date per vendor. If you enter a default description here, it will be used for invoices by default. Note that when using line item extraction, the line item description will be used instead. This description is for non-line item invoices. On the right-hand side, you may select a payment account that will be used when an invoice is marked as paid, as well as a Publish To option, which is the type of transaction, and a payment method. This option allows you to mark invoices as paid by default with the options above. If it is not selected, you will still be able to mark documents as paid individually. The Auto-Publish option, when activated, means that as soon as we receive an invoice for this supplier, it will automatically be published to your accounting software using the default sales taxes and categories. This option may be convenient for vendors that often send similar bills, for example, for utilities. If a vendor is an old supplier that is no longer being used, you can make it invisible within AutoEntry to make sure it isn't selected by accident. In the Remembered Tax Category section, you will find a list of categories automatically assigned to specific tax codes that you may have saved while categorizing transactions for this vendor. You may also add a tax and category association by clicking this option, selecting a tax code, and assigning a category. On the Line Items tab, you will find line items that may have been saved when extracting line items. When you capture line items and select the option to remember it, the category and tax codes will be remembered for a specific line item. On the Rules tab, you may create and manage rules for line items. Rules may be convenient to automatically select a category or a tax code based on a description or a price. Click Add Rule to create a rule, then enter a name for the rule. Here, we create a rule for deposits or prepayments that may appear on this vendor's document. Select a condition or conditions. In our example, the first condition will be that the description must contain the word prepayment. Let's add a second condition by clicking Add Rule. The second condition is that the description must contain the word deposit. At the top of the conditions box, indicate whether all conditions are needed for the rule to apply, or any of the conditions. Here, we want to apply the rule if any of our two conditions is true. Then, select a category and a tax code to use for this rule. Here, when the description contains prepayment or deposit on this vendor's documents, we want to automatically apply the category for prepaid expenses, as well as a zero-rated tax code. We can then save this rule. Once the rule is saved, during the line item extraction, the rule will be followed every time it is encountered. The rule can be edited at any time, and additional rules may be created as well. The Inbox and Archived tab simply display any invoice for this vendor that is currently in the inbox or in the archive. Let's click Vendor at the top to return to our list of vendors. If we now select Customers, we find a similar list of customers. Like with vendors, basic information is displayed, such as the number of documents in the inbox and the archive, the currency, default category and tax code, which can all be remembered from extracted documents. Congratulations! You now know how to review and modify customer and vendor settings.